are hard. Hey everyone, it's Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 books of 2020. So I have 10 books here from a vast variety of genres, I feel like, that I've read throughout the year. And I'm just going to kind of give an in-depth review of all of them because obviously I wanted to show you why they're my favorite books of 2020, made them my favorite books, and what things and traits about the book that I really enjoyed. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this video. Coming in at number 10 is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This book follows Josh and Hazel, who knew each other in college, and Hazel gets this new job teaching with one of her best friends at a elementary school, and it turns out Josh is her best friend's brother without ever realizing that. Dots didn't add up apparently. And this just kind of follows them on their kind of journey to not dating because her apartment floods and she moves into Josh's house to wait for her apartment to be cleaned up, and in the meanwhile Josh realizes he is being cheated on by his girlfriend, so they break up. So there are two single people living in a house together. Something I love about this book is the banter between the two characters. They are so funny because they go from absolutely despising each other, like I would never date her, to complete and utter like infatuation, and I love it. It was so cute. I loved Hazel's personality. She was very quirky, very fun. She reminded me of myself a lot because she was very unsure of herself at times, but another time she was in complete confidence, like on her dates they set each other on, because they go through a series of dates and they start a game with each other where they would each find each other blind dates to kind of get themselves dating somebody. This book is all around so cute, so fun. I just absolutely love the family impact on the story. I just love the relationship, everything about it. No complaints, none at all. Loved it. Coming in at number 9, we have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So gay romance was my forte for a hot minute this year for some reason. I've read so many gay romances this year and I'm not complaining, but I probably should have read other romance this year, but it's fine. So this story follows the first son of the United States and the Prince of England, and they are in this kind of banter war. They really hate each other because of something that happened back in the past before his mother was even elected as president, and because of that he just has a absolute pure hatred toward the Prince of England. Well, one thing goes too far and he ends up ruining a wedding that the royal party is hosting, and because of this the first family decides that he needs to go act like buddy-buddy with Prince Henry and kind of reestablish this relationship between the first family and the royal family. So he heads off to England to try to make friends with Henry, all the while he is earning feelings toward Henry, not knowing if he is gay or not. Henry admits that he is gay, but he is trying to keep this under wraps from his parents because he's not sure the backlash that he will get from the royal family. Something I loved about this book is the banter between the two characters. They are so funny. They are constantly going at each other, and once we get through the book it starts to ease up a little bit, but it's still there, and that is something that I really love. You can tell how much the first son absolutely loves Prince Henry and the things he does and goes out of his way to help him out, and I absolutely love that. It was absolutely adorable. And when I was writing my notes for what I thought about this book, I literally put the banter, exclamation point, the emails, exclamation point, the kisses, exclamation point, fan fiction but better. That just sums up my thoughts about this book. I loved it. Coming in at number 8 is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamter. So I've talked about this book a lot, and I'm sure you guys probably know what this book is about if you've been on this channel for a hot minute. This book follows Cal, and Cal is what is he? A Flash fame? I believe the app is called Flash fame. My brain is just not functioning at this moment. He lives in New York City with his best friend, living his best life. This all comes crashing down when his dad decides they are going to move to Houston, Texas, because he just got a job as being a new pilot on the plane to Mars. Astronauts, planes, rockets. What is my brain doing today? So this prompts him to move to Houston with his family, and he is not happy about this move. Make note of that. He does not want to move. He does not know what this will mean for his Flash Fame app. He does not know what this will mean for basically anything, because his contract with NASA says he cannot be posting on the Flash Fame app, and that is a pretty big part of his life. He wants to be a journalist. So while in Houston, he's just trying to lay low, let his dad do his thing, and it turns out there is another guy here named Leon whose mother is also in the running to be the pilot to the rocket to Mars, and they kind of fall into this mutual friendship that turns into more, and I absolutely loved this book. Honestly, I don't care if it's number 8. This is my top book of the year, okay? The relationship is just amazing. They just fit each other like a glove. They were there for each other. When tragedy struck, they knew where to be. They were helpful. I just absolutely love this book. Everything about it just completely made my day. I loved it. Loved it. Coming in at number 7 is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. So I've talked about this book quite a bit as well. What? I've talked about this book quite a bit as well. I loved this book. So this book follows Maggie Holt, and Maggie Holt is living in the shadow of her dad's horror story. So if you think like Amityville Horror in a book, that is this book. Her family fled from this home when she was just a baby, so she doesn't really remember much of it. She keeps being told she should have these memories, but she doesn't. So because of this, after her father passes away, she inherits this huge mansion that they dipped out of when she was a baby. And all of the creepy things that were happening in the book are now happening in real life, y'all. Something I really like about this book is it is written in dual perspective. Dual perspective is something that I'm new to this year, but I'm honestly in love with it. It's a nice take on fiction where you have 2 different perspectives and they come together to make a cohesive story. I really love how these 2 perspectives are written from the dad's book, but also Maggie's present perspective in the house. They even go as far as bringing back old characters that are obviously very important to the story, but overall, chef's kiss. Loved it. It was amazing. Apparently this is 2020 was the year of Riley Sager. Let me tell you. Oh, I'm so glad I brought a drink in here because I'm so thirsty. Coming in at number 6 is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. So I have been talking a lot about this book as well. I read this in I think June, if I remember correctly. My brain doesn't like to work. But this book follows, what's her face? Who knows? I can never remember anybody's name. Libby. This book follows Miss Libby, and Miss Libby has a past that she does not know of. Doesn't know her past at all. She was adopted out to a family when she was an infant, but she doesn't really remember much of it. So when she gets this letter in the mail that finally tells her who her parents are, her world is flipped upside down. And her parents owned this mysterious house where people were found dead, cults wrapped around it. Honestly incredible. I didn't think I'd like this book because I've heard a lot about Lisa Jewell, and some people absolutely love her and some people despise her completely. This was one of these books that I could not put down, okay? Cults are definitely one of my weak points when it comes to books because there are so many interesting things you can do with a cult, and this is definitely a cult. I don't care. This family was a cult, okay? I don't care what you have to say about it. They were. I love how none of the main characters knew each other until the very end. That is something that really brought this book to life for me, and I absolutely loved it. And I also dead about the plot twist at the end killed me. What? I was like, holy guacamoles, what is going on? I don't know. And coming in at number 5 is Harry Potter, number 1 through 4. I would add 5, but when I'm filming this, I'm only about halfway through it and I don't want to add it just yet. By J.K. Rowling. So I just started reading these books this year, and if you call me a bad booktuber because I'm just now reading Harry Potter, that's fine. But you guys should know what Harry Potter is about because it's such a huge series. But this book follows Mr. Harry Potter. Oh my god, I said it! Ah! This book follows Mr. Harry Potter, and he finds out he is a wizard. So he is off to Hogwarts to learn how to be a wizard, and obviously everything happens to him because he's the boy who lived. He has to fight Mr. Voldy. He has to meet all these new friends. Draco Malfoy's a jerk. Hermione knows everything. Ron is a little scaredy cat. Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna love this series as much as I did. Words are hard. I didn't think I'd love this book as much as I do currently. I've never thought I would like it because I'm not really the type of person to get obsessed with something like a series, but holy cow, y'all. Holy cow. Me and Harry Potter, we're buds now. But the reasons I like this story was how vast the characters are. No matter how small the character, they keep showing up. They keep having an important part. For example, Peeves. he is one of the ghosts that just kind of are destructive, and he just continues to show up causing trouble. And I love that because it kind of gives character. It brings Hogwarts to life and brings all these characters to life, and that's what I love. It definitely is a place you can feel at home in, and this is definitely a book that is close to my heart now. But overall, I feel like this book is so nostalgic to a lot of people, and it's definitely going to be one of these books that I will be 48 rereading and rewatching for the 98th time, because they're just so magical. They make you feel some type of way, and that is something that I long for a book, is to give me the chills, make me feel like I'm in the story, I know these people, and Harry Potter definitely does this for you. And coming in at number 4 is the Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. So I talked about this book a little bit on my channel, but not as much as I think I would have liked. So there is definitely a fine line of people who either hated this book or they absolutely loved it, and I'm in the absolutely loved section. So this book follows two characters who are aunt and niece, and the aunt had went missing at the Sundown Motel in the 70s. So the niece decides she needs to go there and figure out what happened to her aunt, and she kind of digs up all this very creepy things about the Sundown Motel. She even so much as takes the same job her aunt had when she went missing. So I absolutely loved this book. It gave me the chills at times. Other times it made me very sad. I absolutely loved it. Something I really liked about it was the paranormal aspect. For me, I thought was going to be a huge part of the book, but it wasn't. The mystery aspect was the bulk of the book, but the paranormal aspect really added to it, and that was something that I really enjoyed. Apparently this was the year of dual perspective for me as well, because this book is also written in dual perspective of the aunt and the niece, and honestly, dual perspective and I get along very well. I loved the two different perspectives, and Viv's perspective suddenly drops in like the last half of the book, and you have to learn just from the niece's point of view, which is amazing. I loved this book. Simone St. James is one of my favorite thriller authors of all time, and I don't care what anybody has to say about it. There, I said it. You're welcome. Coming in at number 3, which I do not have a hard copy for, is You by Caroline Kepnes. So I'm sure you guys have seen You on Netflix. So this is the sequel to that book. This book follows Joe once he moves to LA and he meets love. He meets all these new people, and he's also looking for Amy. So if you watched You and you liked the second series, don't read this book. Don't read it. But if you didn't like it like I did, I felt like it was very dragged on and it could have ended, read this book. Because this book is not like the show. Completely different tales. It's like they didn't even like read the book. Look at the book. Ask Caroline what she wanted. So in this book, Joe meets all these new people in LA, and he's not only trying to find Amy, and by using all means necessary to find Amy, he also finds love, and he falls in love with her. So he's trying to balance this murderous relationship with Amy, trying to kill her to get rid of her because she stole from him, and then trying to fall in love and have a normal life with love. Now this book takes a massive twist toward the end. It rocked my world. I loved it. My fiance even listened to it as an audiobook with me in the car, and I highly recommend the audiobook on Scribd. My referral link is down below if you click that. The narrator is amazing, and when I say that, I mean it. I absolutely love the narrator for Joe. He has that narcissistic, snarky attitude that is perfect for Joe. The sociopathic tendencies come through with the narrator. I loved it. So I would highly recommend the audiobook. As I said, my Scribd link is down below, so make sure you click it and get you a month free, okay? Okay. And coming in at number 2 is Horrified by Katrina Leno. So I got this book in my owl crate and I looked at it and I was like, this looks weird. But I read it. What? I was pleasantly surprised. This book follows Jane and her mom. And Jane and her mom, following her father's death, moved to sunny California to this dreary little Mass town, I think. Maine. They moved to Maine. what? And they move into her mom's old house. So while she's there and she starts school in this little town, she's learning a lot of horror stories settled around her grandma's house and how it's kind of turned into a legend. And you start to learn a lot of creepy things about the family that are strange and weird, but it also makes you question the book. One thing I liked about this book was how insanely creepy it was, literally from page 1. It just had a creepy vibe to it that made you kind of think. And I really liked how they incorporated the mom's past into the book and the grandma into the book, even though they weren't main spectacles of it. And there were definitely a lot of haunted house vibes in it, even though that was not the main part of the book. I really loved this book. It was just, there's no other word to describe it than just really weird. So it made number 2 on my list because of that. It was not what I was expecting, but I loved it overall. Just the weirdness of it made it amazing. I don't have words for it, to be honest. And coming in at number 1, as you guys should probably know by now if you've been on this channel for a hot minute, I have been obsessed with this book. If you go back and watch my mid-year book freakout tag, it was on there too. So dun da da da, drum roll please, insert drum roll clip here. A Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Were you surprised? You should not have been. So honestly, this book, me and this book go way back, and by way back I mean like February. Me and this book are best friends. 100%. Margaret Rogerson and I are tight. So this book follows Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was an orphan brought in libraries. And when I say libraries, these libraries are like the Monster Book of Monsters from Harry Potter, you know, the one that tries to eat Neville. That's an entire library filled with those books. And Elizabeth is training on to be a librarian for these books. And she kind of, I don't know if it's a sixth sense or if she just has a knack figuring out what the heck people are up to, but she finds out people are destroying the libraries, and when she tries to make it known and make people know this is happening, they kind of brush her off and instead try her with treason, saying she's doing it. Isn't that amazing? So she is picked up by Mr. Nathaniel Thorne, my book boyfriend, and they set off to the courthouse together since he volunteered to come pick her up. And along the way, they are attacked by beasts. They just have an awful time getting there, and me and this book are close. So the characters, amazing. I loved Elizabeth's characters because she was strong and mighty, and she gave no, honestly, she did not care. So I loved her. Second of all, Nathaniel, I loved his character because in the beginning, he kind of came out as this rough and tough dude, didn't care, but toward the end, he turned into like this softie that just wanted to help. Silas, Nathaniel's demon, made me cry like 3 times. Who do you think you are, sir? But I love Silas because even though he was kind of devoted to Nathaniel because of his blood sacrifice, he did love him. There was love there, and that was very adamant throughout the book that Silas wanted to be part of Nathaniel's life. Silas was the only family Nathaniel had, and that was very adamant throughout the whole story as well. Silas was just altogether chef's kiss, 100% A+. I loved him, honestly. Nathaniel, my book boyfriend, honestly, could I ever love him anymore? No. All around, this was a 100% book for me. The plot was amazing, the characters were amazing, the imagination and atmosphere and world were amazing. My favorite book of the year. I loved it. Okay, and I think that is gonna bring us to the end of my top 10 books of 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about the top books of the year for me, because it was definitely a very good reading year for me, and I'm really surprised with myself. I had a little bit of a reading toward the beginning, so I really didn't start reading books till about April, and I read 104 books in those months, April through December, so that's amazing. But without further ado, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a super big thumbs up. Comment down below and tell me if you've read any of these books, or just for fun, what are your top 10 favorite books of the year. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this. I upload every Monday and Thursday. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in my next video. I hope you guys are having a great day. Bye!